Speaking of kind of cool, we watched last week, what did we watch? The Devil's Rejects from 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I liked it more than you did.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yes,
was,
you did.
I think the bottom line here was brutal, but it had some funny moments, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we both mentioned that we hadn't seen House of a Thousand Corpses.
I had never seen
The
that.
Devil's Rejects was the sequel to The House of a Thousand Corpses, so we watched them in the backwards order.
Yeah, so this week was House of a Thousand Corpses.
We liked Devil's Rejects enough, we decided we had to fit in the Thousand Corpses. From 2003, directed by Rob Zombie, written by Rob Zombie, stars Sid Haig, Karen Black, and Bill Moseley, hour and 29 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So this was made 2 years before The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Takes place in 1977. We'll get into the date a little more later. Overall, did you like it?
Yes. I liked it better.
Better than the second one.
Yes. I was vaguely disappointed by the second one. And after seeing the first one, I was even more disappointed by the second one. The first one is like a tall, cold, rich, thick glass of Hershey's chocolate milk, with the real syrup and lots of the real syrup and a glass of whole milk. And the second one was like a glass of Yoo-Hoo. It's not bad.
Somebody should tell Rob Zombie his movie's like a glass of Yoo-Hoo.
But it's thin and watery in comparison.
Okay.
That's the best simile I can come up with. I liked the first one so much more. It had all the carnival-y madhouse goodness that I was expecting, and a lot more Captain.
It was a lot more of a standard horror movie.
A lot more Captain Spaulding being Captain Spaulding, and I liked it.
Okay.
Liked it. Yeah, I would give this one a solid thumbs up, and the second one, yeah.
This had a lot of stuff in it that didn't make sense, wasn't necessary, and kind of got in the way.
Was kind of awesome. No, that was kind of awesome. Yeah.
Well, we start out with an introduction from Dr. Wolfenstein, our horror host. And this little bit by Dr. Wolfenstein. We see him a couple times glancing on screens here and there, and it goes absolutely nowhere.
No, but it's like one of the late night horror movie hosts guys.
But this is supposed to be real. It's not a horror movie.
Yeah, but it is.
This is followed by a TV commercial for Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madness. And the subtitles tell us that this takes place in
Madman.
October.
Madmen. Isn't it?
Madmen?
Or is it Madness?
I don't know. I think Madness.
Oh, okay. Oops.
Subtitles tell us that this takes place October 30th, 1977, the day before Halloween. The scene opens with Spaulding and Michael J. Pollard, little guy, he always plays these little nerdy guys, I don't know what the character's name was here, talking about a guy who got a Dr. Zaius doll stuck up his butt. See, you're still laughing.
Yes.
Suddenly, two robbers break in. One of the robbers says he hates clowns, and Spaulding gets angry. The little guy then recognizes one of the robbers and starts making fun of him. He's like 4 feet tall, and the robber's like 6 feet tall, 300 pounds, carrying a shotgun and a monster mask, and he's like, "You stink!" Another guy then jumps in the door and kills both the robbers.
Madmen.
It is Madmen.
Yeah, it is Madmen. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Museum of Monsters and Madmen. With the coolest neon sign out front that says that.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, it looks like the coolest roadside attraction ever. It's a museum of horror and real horror, real killers and real weird things and freaks and
True crime.
fake freaks and all kinds of oddities, and it just looks really cool. I want to visit that, except for the murder part.
So another guy comes in and then kills the robbers. Spaulding then laments, "They got blood all over my best clown suit." And the credits roll. Two couples then stop for gas at Captain Spaulding's place. Spaulding is still mopping up blood as the group goes in and enjoys the museum. They all get to go on the murder ride, hosted by Spaulding. And this is like a little roller coaster thing with him standing in front in his top hat giving the speeches. Well, this guy in the back
it's not
pushes.
Motorized.
It pushes
it's
the
it's on a
coaster
track
through.
where you, like a ride you go through, and there are animatronic displays of various murder scenes. And
Yeah, it's like sort of a manual thrill ride.
and he's just awesome narrating each scene as it goes through.
They pass active displays of cannibals mixed with hokey funhouse shows. They have a great time in the show. One of the stories is about a local guy named Dr. Satan, a guy who experimented on mental patients until vigilantes came and hung him from a tree. And then the next day, Dr. Satan's body vanished. There's a news report then, flashes on the screen for no particular reason, about 5 cheerleaders who recently disappeared. A lot of things just flash on the screen here and there. Just
Lots of flashes.
Sometimes it relates to the story, sometimes it doesn't. One of the guys wants to see the tree where Dr. Satan was hanged, so Spaulding draws him a map. They stop and pick up a hitchhiker on the road, and they offer to drive her home, and she says she'll show him to the Dr. Satan tree, but on the way, someone shoots out their tire. They think it's a blowout, but we see the guy with the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Between more coherent scenes, we get flashes of news reports of missing people, interspersed with Baby the hitchhiker, posing with knives, clips of old monster movies, which we identified as they popped on the screen.
Yeah, we recognized them.
And occasional phrases by the horror host Wolfenstein. We then cut to Otis, who's giving a wackadoodle speech to the tied-up cheerleaders. And he's a little on the crazy side with the speech.
But they're fun about it. They're having fun with it. It's a fun crazy.
He's having fun.
That's what I liked about this.
Yeah.
They're insane, but they're having a good time. And they've got a sense of style. It's it's a kind of a carnival fun atmosphere.
Crazy,
like
murderous,
a real,
insane,
like a
loony
real
family,
fun
but at
house.
least they're fun.
They're living in a fun house.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
They all wind up at Baby's house, and they get to meet her mother. She invites him to dinner, where they also meet Tiny, a huge disfigured man who wears a mask. He can't hear much and wears a mask because his father went crazy and set Tiny on fire. They all have to wear masks at dinner, and it's a truly awkward meal. One of the best scenes of the movie.
Weirdest dinner party ever.
Otis then joins them and brings in a pickled baby in a jar. I brought the baby, Mom.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, little baby." Oh,
And she kisses the bottle.
Kissing the jar. Apparently, it was one of her unsuccessful. Died very young, small enough to fit in a jar, and pickled.
Suddenly, here's where it gets weird.
Oh yeah, just now it's getting weird. Yeah.
Suddenly, dinner is over, and Grandpa does a complete stand-up comedy routine, complete with stage, microphone, and amplifier.
And that's what I mean about the.
And he's like, "All right, that's enough. Dinner is over." And then he gets up and does the comedy
It's time for entertainment. And it's a literal stage with stage lighting, and Mama's running a spotlight in the back.
And his comedy act is then followed by Baby, who does a sexy lip-syncing dance.
To Marilyn Monroe.
One of the girls gets jealous and starts a fight, but just before things get carried away, RJ, the mechanic, bursts in to say their car is repaired. They all get in the car eagerly, but they never even make it to the front gate before they're attacked by Otis and Tiny.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning, it's October 31st, Halloween. They show flashbacks where the family cut up Bill, one of the teenagers, with a straight razor and an axe. They also show us that they pose his body as a kind of merman display. You know, I'd seen the picture of the merman on memes on Reddit before and didn't know what it was from.
Mm-hmm.
Now we do.
No, yep, from that, yeah.
Sheriff Wydell comes looking for the kids. This is the brother of the other Wydell. And they talk to Spaulding.
Who's wearing a Pigs is Beautiful t-shirt.
Pigs is beautiful, yeah. He tells them the young folks were there and gave them a map to the Satan tree, which is all the truth. The sheriff goes out to the tree, and sure enough, they find the car abandoned and vandalized. And in the truck is one of the missing cheerleaders, dead and mutilated. They head to the Firefly Ranch, the closest house. The deputy finds the cheerleaders in the barn and radios the sheriff, just as Mother Firefly shoots the sheriff in the head. Otis does the same with the deputy and also with the victim's father. Otis cuts off the old man's face and skin and wears it as he torments the man's daughter, asking, "Who's your daddy?" And he was. Sort of.
Yeah.
The whole group of prisoners, all dressed up as Easter bunnies, goes out to Dr. Satan's grave.
Yeah, you heard that right. They make them put on Easter bunny outfits.
Yeah.
No, the one guy was Eeyore. The girls were bunnies. He was Eeyore.
I thought they all just had big floppy ears.
No, he was Eeyore.
I didn't catch that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of humor here, like Otis yelling, "They all run, like scared rabbits," as the girl dressed in a rabbit suit runs through the woods. Baby catches up to her and stabs her to death repeatedly. The last 2 victims are dropped into a coffin and lowered into what looks like a mine shaft. Ghosts, or maybe crazy people, rise up out of the mud and attack the coffin, releasing the girl. The guy who with her is dead at this point.
I don't think it was ghosts.
I don't think it was either.
No,
it's not
it
really
was
that kind of
it was
movie.
freakish underground dwellers.
Yeah. It looked like ghosts or something.
People
but
living
doesn't really fit.
living in these tunnels and rooms down there.
Yeah.
You know?
And she runs into
Rob
still
Zombie
more.
doesn't do supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She runs into still more crazies who strip off her rabbit costume, but they leave her alone. She explores the crypt she's in and sees that the walls are lined with dozens or maybe hundreds of mummified bodies.
It's like a real life funhouse. It was.
She's not having fun.
It was, yeah, but exactly. I mean, like a Halloween haunt. It was exactly like a corridor you'd walk down in a Halloween haunt. Only it was
Somebody
real.
went to way too many of these haunted houses. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You'd think somebody used to work in them and stuff too. Yeah.
She passes through room after room of freaks and eventually realizes that this is Dr. Satan's workshop. He's still alive and working on people down there.
Mm-hmm.
A creature wearing a gas mask comes at her with an axe, but accidentally breaks down the door instead. He's really clumsy.
Yeah,
in
he's
that
kind
gas
of a
mask.
clumsy guy. Yeah.
There's a brief chase where the girl and the baddie eventually get buried in rubble. The next morning, the girl wakes up and climbs out of the crypt. She makes it to the road where she is rescued by Captain Spaulding.
Thank goodness.
She passes out in relief at being rescued.
Except Otis is in the back seat.
Obviously, Spaulding is in on everything, which
Yeah.
we did not really know until this point.
We didn't officially know. I
We
mean,
saw
we
the
knew
sequel, so we knew
knew
it,
it, but yeah, because of the sequel. But yeah,
It could have been a big twist, I suppose, there at the end if we hadn't already known it.
yeah, yeah.
Not that big of a secret.
So anyway, this is violent and horrifying and funny and brilliant, and I loved it. Yeah.
There are a lot of flashes to grainy, oversaturated, and out-of-focus cuts to various scenes. Sometimes with characters we know, sometimes just for the sake of weirdness. This is interesting, but gets distracting quickly. It most likely was done to make poor special effects stand out less. Kevin asked me 10 minutes before the end what the final girl's name was, and I couldn't tell you.
I wasn't paying attention to the
looked it
character
up.
names,
We looked it up, and it was Denise.
and it didn't matter.
This is one of those films where there's literally no characterization. It's just one reaction after another as things are thrown at these people on screen. And what did you just say? It didn't even matter who their names were.
Pretty much, yeah.
Not really.
Uh-huh.
I know
Yeah.
one of them was Jerry, one of them was Bill, and the girls I didn't even catch.
Denise and somebody.
Yeah, the other one, yeah.
Yeah.
We saw this after The Devil's Rejects, and I was surprised that there were so many characters from this one that didn't appear in the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I expected a lot of the bad guys to get killed in this one because they weren't in the second one. No, that didn't really happen.
Yeah, not so much.
It would have been nice to see more of those characters, Grandpa or RJ or more of Tiny in the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I realized Tiny was somewhat limited in The Devil's Rejects because the actor had died.
Yeah.
So, yeah that kind of hard to get him in there.
Yeah, a little bit.
This had a fairly straightforward plot line, some really good funny moments, and seemed to hit all the normal horror tropes on the checklist, while the sequel seemed to mostly just go for brutal and only had a little bit of humor to it, although I still like the chicken scene.
The chicken scene, yes, that's a good one.
As a standalone film, a lot of it doesn't make sense. Paired with the sequel, it's a lot more coherent, but the two films are wildly unbalanced in quality. I'd still recommend them both, but there are definitely some issues here.
Hershey's chocolate milk and Yoo-hoo.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
Yep, that's the difference. They're both good. One's kind of thin and watery.
Somebody should tell his boss
I should write.
that his
I
movie
should
was
write to
thin
Rob
and
Zombie
watery.
with that review of those two movies. I'm sure he'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sure he's heard worse.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah.